Hello everyone. I am starting to do video logging. So I do not expect these to do very well at all. If they're on YouTube, I expect to receive a lot of downvotes. I really don't care so much if I get a lot of downvotes or what happens to my videos if they become popular, if no one watches them. None of that stuff really matters. I'm doing these videos a lot for myself. Largely in part to kind of just say what's on my mind. Kind of just see how I interact with a camera itself. And I'm putting these videos out online, partly for a few reasons. Maybe some other people can benefit from my ramblings, my thought processes. Maybe people can find it interesting. If people find it dull or think this what I'm saying is stupid, they don't need to watch it. It's not a really big deal if someone actually dislikes this video or whatever. It's just gonna be online, and that's that really. So that's kind of my whole thought process on terms of putting these videos out. Um, yeah. Let me just kind of get started on some things that I've been thinking about, and I actually wrote this in a blog post. But I really want to also put it in another format of video logs. One thing that I wrote about is kind of like this idea that I think that we have, if that we work hard, um, that will be able to be successful in what we do. And I do think there is a lot of that factor that comes into place, but one of the factors I feel like is missing and is kind of difficult for people to grasp is the time factor as well. So if we look at kind of these famous movies, you look at Rocky or Never Back Down or The Karate Kid, you can see these amazing 2 minute montages where they're just training really hard, getting stronger, these kind of motivational montage videos. But even when they're doing their training, even that time span that goes for across, you're only looking at a 2 month period, or a couple of months, or however long they're training. And at the end of this montage, they're going against the best in their class. Rocky, he's going against someone who is the world boxing heavyweight champion. And Rocky, the beginning of his montage, this guy was a smoker. He couldn't even get up, go for a good morning jog without having to walk towards the end. The same thing, Never Back Down is about a guy who learns mixed martial arts, but he never had any training background as well, and he's going against the best person in the city for a place that's well known, that mixed martial arts is the practice around the city. And these guys have been training for years on end. Yeah, they might not be training as hard as the main protagonist, but what they do have on their hand is time. And whenever you kind of start doing something, no matter how hard you try, you're not gonna be that good. And that's just kind of something that you have to understand as part of the development process. For example, like back when I was in high school, once like I first started out as a runner, like I was a really mediocre runner. Like I ran my times in 23 minutes. Now, over the course of many years, I was able to get my time down to like something like 16 39, I think, was my personal record though. But the thing was though, like uh, when I was like actually just starting out running, and when I was running my slowest times, that's actually the same period where I was training the hardest, and was the most exhausted from my 5K races, from the practice runs that we did. Like I was the worst when I was training the hardest, or felt like I was training the hardest. And it's something that is kind of, I think, difficult for people to grasp, that like you're like it's even like a weird feeling as well, that you're training the hardest when you're the worst. And the same thing is like other things in my life as well. When I was doing the coding boot camp, like that was a really intense program. And before that program, or even like during that program, I really like sucked as a programmer. Like there's a lot of advanced concepts that I understand now that I did not have like a grasp of like back then. But at the same time though, like I I was probably like actually like feeling like physical like pain from my head, just getting headaches, just trying to like grasp on the concepts that like I was trying to learn in programming. And back then, like I did not think I would be able to go through this process. So in a lot of ways, like it's the same thing. Like that whole like process of learning, or the process of gaining muscle, or like learning a new skill, or any of these kinds of things. Like it's when you're not the best at it is when you have to like work the hardest now. I mean, now for example, like I don't program nearly like as hard, like, or do as much like learning, or like have that same experience now as a programmer. But like when I'm looking like in the past, like I was doing the most coding when I was the worst. Uh, when I was worse at coder, and it's just kind of like um, something that like it exists, and I feel like if you think in the terms of the process of like people are like doing much better than me, and they don't aren't working as hard, and now me, like I'm working my ass off, and I don't and I'm just mediocre. I think like that kind of like thinking process will often lead to discouragement. It can kind of like lead to this like maybe yo-yo cycle, where you kind of like get passionate about trying to do something, and you work your butt off, but you just comparing yourself to others, feeling so mediocre when you see like these people who are like much better than you, but aren't working nearly as hard. But the thing that you have to realize though is like you're not looking at their past, like how much harder they had to maybe work to achieve where they were now. Say, I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I want to add to this. Same thing. Yeah, that's all I really have. Um, so like whenever like you're trying to like achieve any goal, like you have to understand like you're gonna start out as mediocre, and you're gonna have to put in lot of hard work when you're at your like kind of like bottom. But like the key thing to take away from that though is that like you have to enjoy the actual process of whatever you're trying to improve on, and you can't really like compare yourself to others. You just have to compare yourself uh, to yourself. Like take any kind of like small victory, small gain, as a step forward, like a step progress, because each one of those like incremental small changes or small improvements that happen over time, like they're gonna add up. Like they'll add up over the course of like time period, whether it be like 6 months, a year. Like you'll like get to like a good decent level, if you just kind of have all these small improvements. But the idea is like they're usually small, and you're not gonna like get to the level of someone who's like the best in their league, or like considered like even good. And it's just really just kind of like a matter of time. So that's just kind of one thing that I want to say. Um, and yeah, I think a lot of it is just kind of just enjoying the process that you go through, and just like whenever you're like taking action in whatever like life goal that you're trying to achieve, like you have to feel good about that. Like even like if you feel like if you're like maybe like for example for me like I do running, and I'm trying to improve my skill set by joining this running club, and it's oftentimes just discouraging to see like people like run much faster than me, but I can't really like actually let that thing get to me. Like I have to at the end of the running club say the realization that I took action, uh, I ran my butt off, and I did the best I could. And whenever you're like trying to like work on that skill set, that is kind of like the self talk that you need to give yourself. Um, Always like feel good or feel proud about yourself for taking steps forward, for achieving uh, whatever goal or skill set that you want to learn. And that's all I really have. Have a good day, everyone. Yeah, take care.